Hello, everyone. Welcome to Offbeat On Point,
where we're setting realistic expectations for your wedding day. I'm Daniella Koontz of Koontz Photography.
And I'm Jenn Ross of Jenn Ross Photography. And today we are discussing how to make your wedding feel respectful and inclusive.
In this episode of Offbeat On Point, we're talking about what really matters: respect, inclusion, and staying true to your values.
We'll also cover how to set respectful boundaries with your partner, especially during emotional moments like the formal dances or cake cutting.
And finally, we'll share tips for organizing family portraits without the chaos, because clear communication and thoughtful planning can go a long way.
So hello.
Hi.
What's going on?
Oh, I did a couple things this week. I went to a goth picnic in a cemetery.
That sounds on brand.
It was
I love it.
Awesome. We talked about music and cons and TV shows and movies, and it was just like 2 hours of just relaxation, good food. I tried something I've never tried before.
What's
Have
that?
you tried ube?
Oh, girl, have I tried ube.
I have
I'm
been in the
obsessed.
dark.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, yes, I need to find more of this. It was so good.
Yeah, my friend Angel turned me onto that. He's Filipino, so there's a couple of Filipino-based desserts places in Orlando. One's called Sampaguita. One is called Light on the Sugar.
You're taking me?
Yeah. I will take anyone at any day to go there. It is so good, but they have ube cream puffs. There's ube cheesecake, ube ice cream. Now there's like even Hollerbox has ube bread at their Uber
I have
Keller.
been missing out.
It's so good.
It's so good.
It's delicious.
So that was amazing.
Yeah.
And then I had a company party for one of the companies that we subcontract out to. So it was their awards ceremony for the previous year. So that was fun.
Yeah.
And I also did my first portrait session for the exam that I'm doing. I passed the written part, and this is the photo part that I have to pass.
Nice.
So that was pretty fun.
That's amazing.
What did you do?
So just working. I've had a couple bookings, so I'm excited for that. Like I think I now have 2 weddings next year possibly, which is fun. Framed a few of my posters today, so I don't know if anyone follows my personal page, but I have a bad habit of collecting concert posters. So
It's an awesome habit.
yeah, it's just expensive, but it's a nice
All
collection.
hobbies are.
Yeah, so I framed those. I'm excited to have them all on my wall, and then
I can't wait to see.
I know, and then in another week, I'm at another festival getting another poster. I've already prepaid for it, so
Nice.
because I will not run the risk of them running out.
Does Rockville have a poster?
Ooh, I don't know because I've never been.
Yeah.
So we should look.
This will come out before Rockville. So if you're at Rockville, come find us.
Yeah, we're gonna be squirting
4 days.
gallons of sun. I'm gonna be swimming in sunscreen.
We
If
just
there is a
roll in a
sunscreen
pool.
pool. Ooh, what if it was like instead of coleslaw wrestling, it's just sunscreen wrestling? It's just me, you, and my niece. That's it.
The whitest of white people.
I don't even need sunscreen. In that way, it looks like I'm wearing it all the time. I'm so pale. It's okay.
Oh, man.
We'll survive.
I can't wait. It's going to be so much fun.
But that's 2 full weekends in a row of me being exposed to the real sun for like 12 hours a day, and I'm already over May. I can't.
We're going to buy stock in aloe vera.
I need to call my doctor and be like, can I get a skin cancer screening? I can't speak already.
We both call them because we go to the same doctor.
Yeah, we're going to call our doctor and be like, can we have a skin cancer screening? We went to 2 music festivals that were full weekends for 2 weekends in a row.
Oh, man. It's going to be amazing, though. I can't wait. Okay.
So now we just get into it.
Yeah, because we don't have any housekeeping because
Yeah.
we don't even remember what we said.
Yeah, we're stacking episodes, I think, because we're going to be so busy in May. So we want to have stuff to put out there and just get it done. So I love this episode because of how focused we've been on being inclusive.
Yeah.
For pretty much half of our career, at least. I haven't always been that mindful of it. I think in recent years, it's become more important to consider the language that you're using when you're speaking to people and not just assume things.
Even on this podcast, like we notice and we cringe every time we say the word shooter. Mm-hmm. But saying the word photographer every single time is so long and wordy. We need to come up with something else.
Right.
For second photographer. Second photographer. It's so long.
Right.
Second shooter. We went to a shoot. No, we went to a photo shoot.
We went to a session.
We went to a session.
Yeah, I have a shoot this weekend. It's
right. It's so we're trying to get that language out, but it's hard and it takes time.
It takes time.
Even things like that.
But I think just acknowledging it is important, and it shows a level of empathy too, because if we met a couple and the person was like, hey, I go by they them, you know, there is a possibility that we'll get back in that habit of saying what we would assume their pronouns would be.
Right.
But as long as you're trying, if you're actively not trying, that's when I think you're an asshole.
Well, and it's easy to try.
Yeah. It's easy to try.
You can, it's on my forms.
Yeah. It's
every
harder
single
to avoid
form
it.
I have says preferred pronouns.
Yeah.
We're definitely changing our terminology.
Yeah.
I know the other day I had a best man annoyed with me.
Oh, that guy. Yeah. He's on the other side.
We don't know that.
There I go, assuming.
You can't assume things. But yeah, I kept saying best person because, especially when it's a mixed bridal party.
That's the whole point.
There's mixed genders on the bridal party, or the wedding party, because it was the groom's side, not the bride's side.
Right, and that's
the
whole point of what we're talking about right now is why are we calling it a bridal party when we're just looking at half of the men if it's all men on one side?
Yeah, so trying to use terms like instead of saying maid of honor or best man, I have just been saying best person, because even with the females, there's maid of honor, matron of honor.
Right.
And how many people have I ticked off saying maid of honor, and they're like, matron of honor.
Oh, you know how long I didn't realize they were two separate things?
Yeah.
It's
So I've been just trying to change my terminology to just be completely inclusive, and I never thought somebody would be offended by it.
Yeah, I'm kind of shocked that... So what Daniella's talking about is the groom had a best man, but he also had a girl on his side. So what if that girl was his best woman?
Right, and I didn't know going into it.
And we didn't know, because a lot of times we don't have all of the information.
Right. And even if I do, I'm not going to remember all the time.
Yeah, sometimes sometimes it slips
up.
It
slips my mind. So it's just easier to have a gender neutral term.
Yeah, the gender neutral terms are great.
I love them.
You said best person. We were doing the photographs. We realized it's the best person is the best man, and he just got so. He was like, "I'm a man. You can just refer to me as the best man from now on." And I was like, I don't think we were. Did we say anything to him?
I think I just. I do the penguins thing. Smile and wave, boys. Smile and wave.
Mm-hmm.
It made me uncomfortable the rest of the day. And now that I'm editing the photos, it still makes me. I'm like, well, I didn't mean to be offensive. I was trying to be inclusive, but
Well,
whatever.
And that's why I just made fun of him. But it's just, are you that insecure, bro?
I don't know.
You're not a person if you're not a man? Does that show what you think of women? I mean, sorry. Anyway.
We're digressing, but even, it's just hard because especially when there's different genders on the side, they're like groomsmen, bridesmaids.
Right.
Like we need to be switching our terminology to like attendants or just wedding party or.
Right.
Oh, I've done the thing where I say, okay, I want my dresses over here and my suits over here.
I love that. Yeah. That makes it so much easier too because there's masculine, lesbians in suits on the groom side.
Yeah.
And I can't be like, okay, ladies, come over. Like,
yeah.
Well, what if they go by they or they're, identify in some other way and you don't want to, it's just easier to, I love the suits and dresses thing because it takes away from like who's inside of it, which sounds dehumanizing. But you're just talking about the clothing.
Right.
Like all my blue dresses, all my...
Well, yeah, because we had that lesbian wedding.
Yep.
And it was all dresses.
All dresses.
So there was yellow dresses and blue dresses.
Yep.
And we would say team blue.
Yep.
And
or
team yellow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just finding ways to respect everybody, make everybody feel included, and not try to offend people.
Yeah.
Because we're trying not to.
Right. And that's... I'm still just... I have some rage over that guy, but... So yeah, it's even when you have a couple who are heterosexual. We don't always just default to saying like, "Where's your husband? Where's your wife?" We also say fiance because if they haven't been technically married yet.
Right.
But I like to say spouse or partner.
Right.
Because that's an inclusive term. So if you're in a room with people from all backgrounds, it doesn't mean if I'm talking in a room of people and I say, "Oh, my partner," does that automatically mean someone's gonna be like, "Oh, she's gay"? Like no.
Right. No, it's just all inclusive.
I feel like everyone should use that term because it is your partner or it is your spouse.
Yeah, I love it.
So, and because we're learning that so many things in life are on a spectrum, it's fine if I'm a straight person and I want to say my boyfriend, But I also feel like I pride myself in my allyship with those communities, that I want to at least present, you know, in an empathetic way, that I care. And by saying my partner or my spouse, it's just more inclusive.
I agree. And it can be used, and we have seen it used in weddings by DJs.
Yeah.
When they announce the couple, it'll be a heterosexual couple, and they won't announce Mr. and Mrs.
Right.
They will announce them in by their new last name. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's not even the husband's last name. Right. I love this.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're hyphenating. Sometimes they're keeping each of their last names. Sometimes they're creating a whole new last name, which
is cool.
I wish I would have known that was possible when I got married. I would have had a totally new last name. That'd been so cool. I mean, because you're starting a new family.
Right. Yeah.
And we could still do it. I know.
You could still do it.
I have a list on my phone of names.
Oh my God. That just made me think of the moment in Friends, though, where Phoebe realizes she can change her name and she becomes like Princess Consuela Banana Hammock. they're like, that's a Speedo.
Don't tempt me.
Yeah. Daniella, Marcella, Banana Hammock.
I'd do it too.
That would be amazing. But even so the DJs are announcing them with more inclusive names. That's also goes for their programs, their invitations, the save the dates,
Well, even my invitation. Okay, so I'm aging myself here, but I've been married 22 years this year. We'll be 22.
Old.
Shush. I'm an elder millennial. But
gather round. Let me tell you about my invitations. They were carried off by pigeons.
Uphill.
To all the guests.
Ways. 10 feet of snow. Oh, man. But even mine were different back then because we didn't include our parents on it. You know how some invitations are like, Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so invite you to the wedding of their children. And I was like, no, man, we're paying for this just as much as our parents. We all paid for it. So, it's not their wedding. It was our wedding.
Right.
So it doesn't matter what you put on your invitation. It's up to you. So if you don't want to put Mr. and Mrs., if you don't want to put the parents,
right,
it's okay. It's your wedding.
And we're also not giving you this advice in a way that's don't do it. That's the whole point, is we are giving everyone the option to do whatever they want.
People need to realize that it's a choice.
And it's a choice, and we're trying to broaden your horizons of what can and can't be done.
Because how many times have you had them say, I can do that?
Oh my God.
And I say, it's your wedding.
So many times.
It's they don't really realize it because, of course, they've never done this before most of the time.
Right.
And they just have information coming from the older generation.
Right.
Saying you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do that.
Which isn't wrong. But
yeah, but you don't have to.
Right. And it's okay to change. And it's okay to evolve and grow and become more empathetic.
Yeah.
That's the name of this episode now, is empathy.
All you have to do is fill out the legal documents.
Yeah, really.
And I mean, technically, you don't even have to do that. You can be in a committed partnership and have a wedding and not have the legal documents. So honestly, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah. I'm eloping. See ya. Bye.
Bye.
So on the invitations and everything, we're giving everyone that choice of saying, hey, you can do whatever you want. You can just create your own name.
Yeah.
Be crazy. But we're also giving that advice for the RSVP part of the invitation. So you want to maybe have your guest, when they're sending I can go, I can't go, who's their spouse? Is it going to say, oh, you and your wife? Or is it going to say you and your spouse? And is it, are you going to offer pronoun options or things like that? So
yeah, that's true because people make those place cards. So what if you
cards always
wanted
say
to go
Mrs. something and Mr. What if you're not a Mr. or Mrs. or a Miss? And can I interject on this real quick?
But I wasn't even thinking about this. So my mind is oh yeah.
I fucking hate the fact that a Mr. is a Mr. is a Mr. is a Mr. all day long. And women are the ones, I've been watching too much Handmaid's Tale. Women are the ones that get the Mrs., the Miss, the Ms. And it's always to denote whether we're single or married.
But then there's other ones too. Have you seen the MX?
Yeah, so that's the non-binary type, right?
But there's more too that I can't keep up. I try. I really do try.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's true with the RSVP. If you're making place cards, yeah, the option for them to put what their preferred title is.
Or just put the name. It doesn't have to say Mr. or Ms. in front of it or
Yeah, that's
anything
true.
like that. So just, you can even have that option of like, do you prefer your place card just to have your name or
Right.
or your guest name, whatever, however you
And
want
they're
to.
if they have a chosen name that they go by.
Yeah.
Making
Or,
sure that you keep up to date with that. One of my good friends just changed theirs, and I right away texted my kids because we're all friends, and I was like, "Hey, so and so is now going by this name," so that
Right.
we all can update it in our phones and whatnot. So yeah, that's true too with the place card settings, making sure you have the right name. So yeah, the place cards is a great way to show respect to all the people that are attending your wedding. What about showing respect to your partner and maybe your family members? I think we have some really good points that we've thought about a lot, certain things that drive us insane.
So yeah, I think the one of the main things that we bitch about the most, and I think it's one of the most important things to show respect, is watching your partner dance with whoever they've chosen to dance with, whether it's a parent, a grandparent, an aunt, an uncle, a child,
A brother.
a brother,
Yeah.
a sibling. So that is so important because in that moment, you may, with the DJ, depending on what they've chosen, 30 seconds, 45 seconds, a minute and a half, could be 5 minutes, but they're rarely the full song. It is that time that you should be sitting there if you have a sweetheart table or a dedicated table or an honorary table, whatever you want to call it, you should be undistracted. So your guests should not be coming up asking you for selfies, talking to you, interrupting you. Your eyes should be on your partner who
I
you
agree.
just married, dancing with that special person that I'm getting goosebumps talking about it.
Right.
Because
It makes me angry.
it's like, my dad passed away.
Right.
I've always thought about now if I do get married in a traditional sense, which I won't, but I get emotional when I watch a person dance with their dad because I'm behind my lens tearing the fuck up because I'm like, oh my God, that I never would have that. And
Yeah.
it's so emotional. And then you look over at their spouse and they're like chit-chatting with somebody. And
Yeah.
I get mad because I'm like, they have that. They're lucky to have that. And
And it's a
you're
once
just-
in a lifetime
it's-
thing,
right.
generally.
Yeah. And also, in a photography selfish way, we are photographing that dance happening with the partner in
Yeah.
the background. So we
I
don't
love
want
getting their reaction.
we're not using those photos if you're staring at your phone or checking the game score. Because, I've had a couple that got married on Super Bowl something, not Sunday, because that would never happen, right? God forbid.
I think I've had a
But-
Super Bowl. No, I've had a Super Bowl.
But
wedding.
you're like checking the game, and it's like,
Yeah.
what are you doing? So pay attention. That's such an important thing, and it shows respect. It shows respect to that person who probably helped you put that wedding together.
Yes.
Because you're top tier. You're like VIP guest if you're dancing with one of the two people who got married that day.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
show respect.
Please.
And guests, show respect by not interrupting the couple during that time or when they're fucking eating, please.
Yeah, please leave them alone when they're eating.
And rant.
You covered that so perfectly, though, because, yeah, it bothers both of us when we see the other partner not watching. The other day, I had the bride go and change her dress for her dance with her father, so she completely missed the groom's dance with his mother.
Oh, that's so unfortunate.
And it was sad because here I am looking for her in the crowd to, like, get her reaction, because sometimes they don't go back and sit at the head table. Sometimes
Yeah.
they just go stand with other guests and watch. But the point is just, to enjoy that moment and be respectful of your partner's moment with their chosen family member. So,
Be
yeah,
present.
the dress was cute, but we could have changed it so that she was in that dress before we even started the parent dances.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, plan it a little better if you're going to do something like that. If you have a surprise or you have a change, just try to plan it with your other partner in mind. And maybe your partner doesn't care.
Right.
But it's also the optics of it, like you said, photo-wise, like we're looking for that moment, them in the background or just their reaction and things like that. So
Right.
just think about that when you're planning.
And even tell your vendors that, because it sounds like you wouldn't have known she was changing at that moment.
I didn't know. I was looking for her. I was like, where did she go? Is she
Right.
okay?
So you weren't in the loop of it. Maybe the planner didn't know. Maybe the vendor team or the venue team didn't know. And maybe she just decided to change then. And that's on her at that point.
It's poor planning is
It's
really
poor
just
planning.
what it was.
But again, if you're saying she might not have cared, but what if the other guests cared? What if there's people that flew from all over the country or the world and they're like, oh man, I can't wait for my so-and-so to dance with da-da-da. And then it's
Yeah.
like, now one of your main family members is missing because she's changing her dress. Like, it's not
Yeah, it's just
There's
think
there's
about
two
it.
people sometimes three people getting married. But
Yeah,
you know, I just saw a wonderful throuple wedding the other day, and I was like, you know,
I
good.
love that.
I love it. Then that's so much
Call
more.
us. We'll do them.
Yes. Thruples, quadruplets, whatever you call it. What are the words?
It would just be a polycule probably at that point.
Polycule. I like that.
Yeah.
So, what other ways can couples show respect to each other?
The cake.
Oh, yeah.
This needs to be discussed ahead of time, again, with the proper planning.
Mm-hmm.
You need to discuss with your partner how you're going to feed each other the cake.
Right.
If you're even doing it. Some people skip it altogether. Some people do cupcakes. Again, this is your choice. You don't have to do a cake cutting.
There's a million ways to execute
But if you do a cake cutting or feeding each other, are you smashing the cake in each other's faces? Or did you just spend $200 on makeup?
Right.
And you don't want it to get messed up, and you don't want cake on your dress or their suit or, you know, whatever you're wearing. Like, you need to discuss this with your partner. And then when it is discussed, stick to it.
Right.
Don't go behind their backs.
Yeah, that's not cool.
It's not cool.
We've seen a lot of terrible videos that have surfaced where somebody smashed cake in the other person's face, and it ruins the rest of the night.
Yeah. They got visibly upset.
Yeah.
And it's, okay, if you didn't discuss like a little tiny bit of icing on the nose and then you did it, that's cute. That can easily be washed up.
Don't be destructive.
If she had makeup on, you know, she could easily get some powder and repowder her nose or something. It's not going to destroy your day.
Right.
But like you said, don't be destructive. If you guys agreed on that and that's your first act of going behind your partner's back, you know, like right away.
Well, and that's, okay, I'm glad that you said it that way, because I've always joked that or maybe it's not even just me, the cake cutting is kind of like your first collaborative effort.
It really is.
As a married couple. Like, granted, you've probably been engaged or you've lived together already and all of that. You've already done the things that you've cooked together. You've done laundry and all that stuff together. But like, cutting the cake is that kind of like moment of like, oh, we can't cut it right, or they can't pull it out. And then you see how they react to each other,
and how they work together.
Yes, I've seen couples get mad at each other, and I'm like, oh, that wedding's, don't even sign the papers.
That's why I hate though when the planner runs up and helps them pull the cake out. I'm like, stop! You just assisted them in their moment of trying to like work together, to figure something out.
Yeah, so it's kind of a metaphorical, like it's gonna show what the rest of their lives might be like, and if you fail at that, and you piss off your partner because you just shoved cake in her eyeballs or their eyeballs, like, you know.
Yeah.
That's not cool.
It's not cool.
And you talk about, hopefully, a lot of shit before you get married, and that should be one of them. That's all we're saying.
I want to make a side note, though.
Yeah.
Do you remember Justin and Leah's wedding?
Yes.
I loved what they did as their first act of a task to complete together. Do you remember what it was?
The saw?
Yes.
And the cutting the log?
Yeah. I can't remember what it's called, but it's that German tradition where they have to cut a log together with a handsaw.
Yeah.
So they have to work in tandem, pushing and pulling.
Yep. It was pretty cool.
It was so cool. But yeah, like the cake is definitely one of those first things that you do together. And
yeah,
I love it. So don't ruin it.
Yeah, don't ruin it. Stick with the plan.
Yeah.
You know?
Which also comes to another planning point. Are you going to do personal vows?
Ooh.
Or are you just going to do your officiant can do the reading the vows where you repeat them back to each other, just the I choose you, blah, 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 and you kind of repeat it back. That's one option.
Right.
Which those can be customized as well. But are you going to do your own vows?
Right.
And planning that out, you really do need to plan to be respectful.
Yeah.
Like, there's a way to have humor in a wedding, and there's a way to make jokes, and there's a way... We've seen so many things. We've seen a lot of great weddings with humor. But it always is respectful.
Right.
And it doesn't bash the other person.
Right. The most recent one I can recall it was hi, Faith and Lewis, if you're listening. I know they were for a company we subcontract for, but they had amazing vows. They were heartfelt. They were hilarious. Like, I'm usually, if someone's like making me emotional and I'm crying, it's one thing, but I was fucking like laugh crying because they were both so funny, but so like I felt
it
like
was heartfelt.
It was so amazing. We have video of it. I want to just use their vows as an example of if you're going to use humor in your vows, go to them because it was incredible. But also not everyone has that type of relationship.
True.
So if you aren't that like funny, pulling, punching jokes at each other or whatever, like
Yeah, don't try to do it on your wedding day.
don't do it on your wedding.
No.
It's going to be like, it's going to backfire.
Which I'm going to plug Offbeat Wed again because they have a section on their website where people can share their vows.
That's really cool.
So if you're stuck, you don't have to use ChatGPT.
Right.
You can go and use this source and find what other people have written and maybe get inspired. Because not everybody's a writer. Not everybody knows how to put their feelings into words.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that you should skip the personal vows, especially if your partner wants to do it.
Of course. And there's, again, a myriad of options for you to present these vows to your partner. We've had private readings where we've been asked to leave.
It was just them.
Like, we photograph them kind of doing like a first touch moment. And then once they once they start speaking the vows, like video, photo goes away.
Yep.
And we give them 15, 20 minutes, come back. Sometimes they want to record it. And then they're going to just say like real standard vows. Do you take to be your lawful wedded?
Right. They'll say those in front of the people. But like if you're nervous and don't want to pour your heart out in front of all of your guests, you can have a private moment beforehand, either after your first look or your first touch. If you don't want to see each other, it's a first touch where you kind of like reach around the door and just touch each other's hands, and then you can kind of talk to each other through the door.
Right.
So that's what Jen's talking about. So that you can still have that heartfelt moment, but just with the two of you and maybe some vendors.
Exactly. And still, even in that moment, however private it may be, still be respectful. Don't do anything at the expense of your partner that you wouldn't want done to you.
True.
And all you guys out there, you know your relationship best. We don't. But I think that's a pretty general rule of thumb.
And this is also why you don't wait till the day of to write your vows.
Oh, my God.
How many times?
Yeah.
I've had a wedding go 45 minutes late because he did write them on his phone, but he didn't like handwrite them, and he didn't want to have his phone there. So he had to sit there and transcribe them, and made all of us go late.
So that's
plan ahead, guys.
Plan ahead and that cover those boundaries beforehand. Like
communicate.
What are you comfortable with? Or I mean, I'm a little OCD. I could imagine being in a situation where I'm getting married, and if I said I didn't want you to have your phone at your wedding, and now you've whipped it out during our ceremony,
I'd be mad.
I would be so mad.
I'd be so mad.
I'd walk out.
Yeah. I don't even like when officiants use an iPad.
I don't like the screen glare. It shows up in photos. It's not that that's like the worst thing in the world, but
I just don't like it.
I don't like it. I don't like the way it looks.
I like paper. I'm old fashioned. Like
maybe that's our problem. We're just too old fashioned still. So like we want ceremonies to be just digital, unplugged for everything.
Unplugged for everything.
Everything's unplugged.
No, except for the microphones.
Right.
I want to hear them.
We're allowed to have those.
Oh, and speaking of microphones, videographers and people, invest in white ones, please. I'm so sick of seeing a beautiful white dress muddied up with a black microphone during the ceremony. I am not editing that out of 200 photos or whatever, like.
Right.
Come on, invest in some white ones too, please.
Yeah, because not every dress, once it is on, has the capability for that black microphone to go up underneath it and be hidden.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of the times...
Some don't have cords, though.
Some are, wireless and they can be clipped in certain places. But it does help in that
there's
situation.
white tuxes, too.
Yeah, that's true.
So have a mix. Have black, have white. Just don't mess my photos up, guys.
Yeah. See, it's just respect us.
Respect us.
Okay?
So talking about like discussing things beforehand, I kind of want to circle back to the first dance. If you are doing a choreographed first dance, or maybe your partner isn't as good of a dancer as you, like we've had some people who are trained professional dancers. Their partner is not a trained professional dancer. So what they do is they do a lot of practice sessions before. Maybe they took a class, maybe they watch YouTube videos, and they do that to make the other person comfortable. Because all eyes are on you. That is a big moment. So one partner might not want to do a long first dance. Like you said, sometimes they're cut down to 30 seconds, 45 seconds.
Right.
The other partner...
And they just stand and sway.
But you need to respect each other's comfort levels. One person might be a trained dancer and might like that. So where can you find that middle ground and what can make you more comfortable in that middle ground. So, like I said, one of the things is to take classes, do YouTube videos, practice beforehand. But then a thought that you brought up was if she has a big dress. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what can you do ahead of time if you have a big dress?
That's right, because you're not seeing that person before the ceremony. So it would be something you can't try out or do for photos or anything. Because sometimes during first looks, we're like, oh, why don't you practice your first dance? Or why don't you like spin her or spin them around?
Yeah.
And, you know, and you kind of work with the fabric and the movement of it.
Right.
So you may get to that part of the day where the only time you get to practice that dance is during the room reveal.
Yeah.
So the room reveal is great. Sometimes, I know sometimes we bitch about it and we don't like it, but
schedule enough time. That's
schedule
why.
enough time. And when you do have enough time, it's great. We can get our lighting correct. You
get more photos.
You get more photos because then you can do actual portraits of you and your partner in the room, and it looks great. And they're just, I mean, who doesn't want maybe a picture of the two of them with like your beautiful decor with not a single person in there? It's a great
Dancing
opportunity.
with
yeah.
all of,
yeah.
I love it.
So that time is a great moment to practice that dance. If you're trained or it's bustled and it's still kind of a lot of fabric to work with, let's say you practice that choreographed dance that you've done many times over in your dance studio that you've taken lessons with or whatever. That's my words are not great there, but that's okay. You guys know me. It's fine. And if something gets messed up right there, you can re-choreograph it or workshop that little spot and then fix that moment. So once all the eyes are on you and all the cameras are on you officially, you know, it's going to look better and you'll
be
feel
more comfortable. That's the main
what
point.
we want is comfortability.
So you're both respecting each other's comfort levels.
Right.
And we can find ways to help those comfort levels.
Exactly.
So I love that. The next thing...
Sorry, we're going to both say it at the same time.
You can go.
Oh, it's okay. I was just saying, I think we want to start talking about like the family photo lists, which, you know, happen mostly every time immediately after ceremony. But why does this fall under being respectful and inclusive?
Because like I tell my people that they should ask their parents ahead of time and ask their family members who they want to be in family photos. You don't want to leave a family member out and have them upset with you.
Right.
I've been to several of my family members' weddings where, maybe I was just a cousin, but I wasn't included in family photos. So now I don't have family photos with my deceased grandparents on that day.
Right.
It was important to me, but nobody asked me if it was important to me. I'm an only child. I have no siblings, so my cousins are the closest things to siblings that I have.
Right.
So my wedding, I had just a cousin photo because to me, that was important. Those are my siblings.
So then I think that would you would need to focus on immediate and extended family and maybe say, depending on how big your wedding party is, how big is your family, how many guests do you have, can we essentially do like immediate family first and only? And then maybe use that reception time if there might be enough time to get all that extended family or college friends or things like that done.
True, but also if it's planned right, do you know how fast I've done huge parties?
Yeah.
Because you know what they did? They made their family list. They started with the biggest groupings first, and then they whittled it down. But not only that, they sent that list to every single person on there. And they said, memorize which numbers you're in. And be ready to go. And I'll tell you, we got done in like 5 minutes. It was the fastest wedding I have ever photographed because all of those people already arranged themselves in groups.
Which is amazing.
Waiting for me. And we literally, I just said like, ciao family.
Yeah.
They jumped in. They organized themselves. They jumped out. And then they knew if they needed to stay for the next photo because they had the list.
Well, and that's one of my pet peeves is when the communication from me to the client is clear. I need your family photo list. I need it in an order that makes the most sense. Sometimes I have to rearrange it. It's fine. But when I ask the couple, please tell the people in this list they need, one, stay behind. Don't run off to cocktail hour. Don't go get in line for a drink. I know it's like the best time of the day. You're ready for a drink. But stay there. It's the hardest part of the day for all of us. And the longer it takes to wrangle people, the harder it is, the more stressed the couple gets. And we tend to get the brunt of those people going, well, where am I? Is my name not on this list? And then it's like they act like we're the bad guy because we didn't put them on the list. And I'm like, hey, I asked this couple, right, that I'm pointing at for this list. I'm going to photograph what is on this list. Then we can cover anything else. If there's time, and if there's not time, we're doing it later at reception.
Yeah.
But it's not the photographer's responsibility to tell the family who's in the photos. We don't know I don't know who your grandpa is. I don't know who your second cousin is.
Also brings me to write down all of their first names.
The first names.
Please.
And put the relationship in parentheses.
And you don't have to do that every single time, you
It
know.
helps.
But it does help because then I can group the people like, you guys need to be on the left side of the frame. You need to be on the right side of the frame. And like I tell people to stay together in their immediate family. So if you have a spouse and children, don't be on two different sides of the frame. Stay together.
Right.
But yeah, when you're making the family list, couples, please write, you could put, like I said, the Chow family.
Yeah.
But then write Pam, Sue, Bob, Larry, so that I can call out the names and people know who's in the photo and they know who isn't in the photo. And there's no confusion because that's what takes forever. They're like, oh, well, is Sue in this one?
Well, and on that too, like you can even get more specific and say like X family with spouses and without spouses.
True.
Because sometimes you just want, like, if it's like all your siblings are jumping in for the photo, you want a sibling photo, but then maybe you want to add in their spouses and your nieces and nephews.
Yeah, if they're there.
So think about that too. And also consider the order. You want, yes, your biggest grouping to go first because you want everyone there.
Yes.
And then you also want everyone to know, stay, because you might not be just only in photo 1, you're in photo 10. Because we have to make our way through that list and it has to go in certain orders where it starts to feel redundant and people come in and out. But you might have one where spouse 1 pops out and spouse 2 pops in and
I want to say something about that.
Yeah.
If you need to save time because you have a big family, take all the photos with your spouse. They are your family.
Yeah, everything has the couple in it, and we're not doing split sides.
The only time that you should split sides is just for like a photo of just you and your mom, just you and your dad.
Yeah, like your
or just you and
individuals.
your grandpa.
Yeah.
You don't need to do just you and your aunt's family, just you and your uncle's family. You know, please stop.
Well, and in that instance too, this is something you need to communicate with all of your vendors, really.
Yes.
Is if you've lost anyone, any older people in your family, younger people. I mean, I've lost a sibling. It doesn't just mean you're passed away because you're old. Right. So if there's anyone you want to remember, and let's say you don't have just the, memorial table with candles lit on it and all that beautiful things you can have in remembrance of them, you can also put like a framed photo of them on a chair in your reserved section. So especially if it's a mom, dad, grandma, grandpa specifically, that's kind of where they're designated. But maybe you were raised by your sister and she's more like your mom. And so I'm not trying to just make it, that's it.
Right.
But that's another way to honor them. But also let your photographers know if
they can be you can hold the photo in the photo.
And you can hold the photo in it. But I know that in the beginning of my career, when you're kind of on autopilot and you don't think about these things or the potentiality of them happening, I'll be like, oh, I look at, one of the bride or groom and I'm like, hey, where's your mom and dad? And they're like, I don't have parents. And it's like, so it's
these
like
things need to be told ahead of time.
They need to be told to us because I don't ever want to be in a spot where I've now mentioned someone who has passed on in your family.
Right.
Because then it brought that up and it's awkward. It makes it look like I'm being disrespectful or that I don't care, because I do care.
But that's why those lists are good, because then we don't accidentally
I want to know
call somebody.
I want to know if your mom and dad are divorced and they can't stand on the same side.
Yes.
We make these notes in our timelines. I will have timelines that I share with my photographers and I say, hey, don't say like this person, this person has lost somebody or this person's divorced, so don't ask mom and dad to be together.
Right.
It just makes everything work better that day and we don't offend anyone.
Yeah, it helps us to be respectful.
Right, and we need to be respectful because we're talking a lot about how the couples can be respectful to each other and their guests and how the guests can be respectful to the couple, but we also want to be respectful, not even just in our language, but in our knowledge of your family.
Right.
So the more we know, the better. And now that doesn't mean that on the day of, I just start calling people like, hey, Dad, I need you over here and I need you, because that's fine. We have a lot going on. So
Oh, I forget people's names all the time. I'm going to call you by what you're wearing.
What you look like.
Yep.
Man in the red tie. And they're like, that's my dad. I'm like, shit, I already forgot. Sorry.
Do you remember I called a groomsman, hey, you that looks like a firefighter? He had a mustache. I don't know. Just had firefighter vibes.
But yeah, so you just want to just make sure that you're considering all of those things that we need to know. And
yeah, I think that wraps it up. Like that
might wrap it up.
That's a lot of the points that we had that we made notes of that annoy us. But from our end, I think we've covered everything on our end.
Yeah.
And photographers out there, if you're listening, it's not that hard to put on your forms ways to be more inclusive.
Right.
Mine say partner 1 and partner 2. I don't even put bride and groom anymore.
No,
it's partner 1, partner 2.
Yeah, or spouse 1, spouse 2. Whatever word, couple 1, couple 2, couple 3, couple 4.
And I also ask about accessibility. Does anybody need a chair? Like they can't stand for family photos.
Yeah.
So I have a whole space in there about accessibility. You can put in there if somebody has epilepsy. We've talked about this before. Yep. Mm-hmm. And you need no flash to be used. I need to know all of this ahead of time.
Right, because what if, like you saying the accessibility thing is amazing, because like what if they're getting married at Margaritaville and we had already in our mind planned to do all the family photos on the stairs? Mm-hmm. Well, you can't have someone in a wheelchair there. Right. And I know didn't you just do a photography session with someone with a disability? Yep. Did you want to talk about that?
I mean, I can.
Or did you want to?
No, I can.
Do we want to cut that?
No, it's fine. Okay. I just didn't talk about it before because I didn't want to talk too much. But yeah, so I am trying to get my certification with a company called Heart and Lens. It's a nonprofit organization. And I did all my coursework about how to photograph people with different disabilities. Things that you would never think about, like if they have a breathing tube. Like how are you going to, because some people don't want to be photographed with their accessibility devices. So which devices can be taken away? Like you could transfer somebody from a wheelchair to a beanbag chair. Mm-hmm. You could take a brace off of somebody's leg potentially.
But you can't remove oxygen.
You can't, you can't take a trach tube out of their throat.
Right.
I mean, I know they have to remove it to like clean and different things like that, but it might not work for photos.
Right.
So I've created a form that is an entire separate form for accessibility where I ask all of these questions. There's a bunch of questions. So in order to figure out if my form works and if it's, good enough to use in the public, right, I have asked several people if they would model for me. So I have to send in photos for my final exam, but it also helps me because I send them the form and I say, is there anything I could add? Is there anything I could change? Did this make sense? How did you feel filling it out? So they're helping me become more accessible. Mm-hmm. And then in return, I'm giving them a free photo session. So that's what I did the other day. It was really great. And I can't wait to do the rest.
Oh, that's so awesome. I can't wait to cover whatever we talk about next week and see some of your photos from that session and everything that you're doing.
I'll send them to you. I feel like it's like a roulette wheel for like, what are we going to talk about next week?
I know.
Because we have our episodes kind of pre-planned, but not necessarily in the order. It's kind of like, what do we feel like talking about?
Yeah, and I don't know if we have like enough listeners yet to be like, message us and tell us what you want to hear about.
Yeah, they can still.
You guys can. Don't not do that.
Right.
But I just, in my brain, it's like, we have 1 million listeners and
we have 8.
We have 8 followers. But no, it's
but speaking of which, where can we find you online?
Oh, me, little old me. Basically just Jenn Ross Photography or Jenn Ross Photo on all the things.
Yep, and I'm Koontz Photography on all of the things.
And where can we find us?
We can find us on Offbeat On Point on Instagram. We have a Facebook group now. We have a Discord server. All of the links will be in the show notes, so definitely check those out. Click the link, join the things, message us, tell us what you want to hear about.
Yeah.
Tell us all of the good things. Don't be mean.
Yeah. Well, we can be we're a little mean sometimes, so we can take it.
I just mean, don't be mean publicly. Say it to my face.
No defamation, okay?
Right? Slanderers.
You bitches. Anyway, so until next week, stay offbeat and on point.
Woo-woo. Bye.